Hello, everyone. We want to welcome you to our webinar today. We're excited to have Adam Siegel with us, and he is from ChargeLogic. Adam will be presenting on how are you getting customer payments when everyone is remote. And I know you're eager to get started on this presentation, so before I pass it over to Adam to cover on this topic, I just want to remind you that we are recording this session as well as all of our webinars. And so you can find this later today on our on-demand webinar library, and you can review it again or share it with anyone. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to type those into the questions box, and we will have our Q&A at the end of our session. So now I'll pass it on over to Adam to kick off our presentation.
Great, thank you very much. I appreciate the introduction. Before we get started, I'm gonna ask a poll question for you guys. You want to go ahead and throw that poll question up? We'll just get some feedback from you guys as to what are you doing these days. So you should see on screen the option what's your biggest challenge when it comes to payment collection during these trying COVID-19 times. So again, the answers are on screen. Go ahead and choose the option that most aptly applies for you. All right, I'm seeing some answers coming in here. Yeah, so far we've got 100% people saying collecting payments on time on open invoices. So yeah, totally understand. That's kind of what the whole purpose of the presentation today is, to kind of go over some of the ways that ChargeLogic can help with that. Great. Okay, let's go ahead and close that poll out. All right, so before we get started on some of those ways, I just want to do a high-level overview of who ChargeLogic is, because this may be your first exposure to us as a company. So ChargeLogic has been, we are the ERP payment industry experts. We've been doing this for a number of years. Since 2004, we've been processing billions of dollars through merchant services. The ChargeLogic product, along with all of our other products, are built directly inside Dynamics NAV, Dynamics Business Central, and it's meant to be a seamless part of your everyday workflow. So whether you're doing sales orders or what have you, the process is going to be the same from start to finish for all of the different ways that we support payments. We also have some other additional or ancillary options here, that being the point of sale, especially in today's day and age, shopping cart extensions. So everyone is trying to quickly and easily get their small businesses or even large businesses out onto the web so that people can buy online from the safety of their own home. So that's going to be a very important portion of today's session. Also, being able to take payments mobilely, whether it be face-to-face or from a safe distance. And then also I've listed here alternative payments. We support things like PayPal payments, Amazon payments that you may already be using on your web store. Probably most importantly on the slide here, we've been a Microsoft partner since 2012. We've been in this space for a very, very long time, and we have leading payment solution for BC and NAV. You'll see us on AppSource. We were one of the first in AppSource, and that's what we pride ourselves with. Without going too much more into what it is that we offer, because I really want to talk about ways that you can help faster. Really, just a couple high-level bullet points here, and I'm not going to go through all of them. But ChargeLogic offers both product and services, so merchant services through one source. That's going to be helpful to get you up and running faster. So if you're not currently taking credit card payments or ACH payments today, and you want to do that, we can turn you around relatively quickly, get you boarded, get you set up so that you're able to collect payments against open invoices that you already have, probably potentially just sitting there as open AR that you need to get closed out. And we have a variety of different tools available. We support tokenization. We have some hardware devices that you can use to help be extra PCI compliant. And then again, from the services perspective, we have people on staff to help you. We have, whether that be through chargeback assistance. So if you get hit with a chargeback, you can come to us and we'll walk you through that process. Also, from a PCI compliance standpoint, we have PCI resources. So when you're doing your self-assessment questionnaire each year for your PCI audit, you can bounce your ideas or bounce your questions off us, and we're happy to answer that how that most applies to you. Okay, so that being said, let's talk some more about payments. So one of the benefits of ChargeLogic payments is that the idea here is that we are an omni-channel payment solution. So we allow merchants such as yourselves to take payments everywhere and anywhere that customers want to shop with you. That could be from the comfort of their own home. That could be in a retail environment or face-to-face. And I'll get through a couple of those slides in just a minute or two. So what I'm going to do is just go through some of the high-level screenshots showing you the different types of channels that we support, and then I'll actually do a demonstration and kind of show you some of those features in real time. So mail order, telephone orders, again, this is a huge uptick in transactions being processed this way. People getting orders over the phone, people getting orders via email. And so being able to take the payments directly in the business system, whether it be NAV or Business Central, is going to be critical. So here's just a couple screenshots showing, transactions from sales orders, sales invoices, posted documents. We're able to handle all of that, including, again, both credit card and ACH, which is also becoming more and more popular. Another feature that's highly sought after is what we call click to pay. And it's basically an automated invoice delivery via email. So we will send an email to your customer on your behalf, and on that email will be a secure link to get to our hosted payment page so that your customers can enter in the cardholder information online. Now, that's the key differentiator there is now the customer is the one entering their cardholder information. That takes your employees, they're not writing down card numbers, they're not answering the phone and taking card numbers over the phone and potentially writing those down. This allows the customer, it puts the responsibility in the customer's hands for entering in that cardholder information. And it's also much easier and faster to get paid. So everyone has, a smartphone. Well, I shouldn't say everyone. Most people have smartphones these days. I imagine the vast majority of those that do have email on those phones. So whether it be sitting at their office desk and they're getting emails or they're getting emails on their phone, you can actually pay that invoice basically from anywhere. So there's really no excuse for you not to get paid. If you have a high volume of invoices and you don't want to send customers tons and tons of invoices, we also have, leveraging the same backend technology, a payment portal. So again, if you're not billing the customer upfront for goods and you're instead billing them on account and giving them flexible options for how they want to make those payments, because everyone's trying to be a little bit more forgiving these days, the payment portal is a great option. And you can see on screen here just an example of what the payment portal looks like and how all of the invoices are available for your customers to select from, pay either full amounts, partial amounts, and they can pay by credit card or ACH from the portal and view and print invoices. So again, trying to give your customers the most possible ways of paying invoices, and also to give your staff a break and not having to handle these simple phone calls or can you send me an invoice or what do I owe on this invoice. You could just direct them to the portal and say, hey, here's the portal, go ahead, log in, you can see all your invoices, you can see what the balances are, you can print them for your records, so on and so forth. And I'm certainly not advocating that we stop all of our customer service activities, because obviously, customer service is hugely important. But when it comes down to it, we want our employees to be able to do things that generate revenue and are helping us get paid faster, and answering phone calls for invoices is, generally speaking, not one of those. As the states, states here are easing up on restrictions for face-to-face businesses and restaurants, so on and so forth. One thing that is coming back with vigor is being able to do face-to-face transactions. And because of that, I'm showcasing here our point of sale application. So it's different than a lot of the other point of sales you'll see out in the marketplace, where we're leveraging the standard sales functionality in Business Central inside of NAV. And we're basically building sales orders on the fly and able to process the same ways you would in back office, whether you're taking cash payments, doing checks, credit card, or even gift card. But again, it's a simplified order entry screen. It's intuitive, it's touch enabled, and it really has a modern look and feel, so that, again, you're able to provide customers the most seamless experience, whether they are coming into your facility and buying stuff, or potentially you're going out to them because they want to limit their exposure, and maybe you're going to them and able to sell to them directly at their site. Or some use cases here, people like to bring this to a trade show and take orders right on the show floor. This is a great and easy tool to do that. And then lastly, again, another example of something that we've seen a huge uptick in is e-commerce. I mean, I can count on one hand the number of people, the number of times someone has decided not to go this route because, again, to limit risk, to limit danger to yourself and your family, being able to buy things online. I know I get an Amazon package at least once a day, sometimes multiple times a day. So ordering online is becoming huge. And I can tell you, from experience in the last 3 to 4 months, people saying, look, yesterday I did not have a website. I need a website by tomorrow. I need to be able to take payments online, get my stuff out the door, and bring some money in. So our e-commerce tools, and you can see outlined here on the slide some of our popular integration partners in the NAV and Business Central space. These are companies that have made names for themselves already, but we can certainly handle homegrown systems or things that you want to build out of the box. We have an API that's public facing. So again, you as a business don't really need to know much about the back end. We're going to handle the technology piece. You just need to decide how that information is getting into Business Central or into NAV, and basically we and your e-commerce provider will handle the rest. So everything that I've shown you is all well and good, but again, with your AR staff and your employees not necessarily all together in the office, when things come up, when there's questions, we want to make the process as easy as possible for getting all this information, whether it be from back office or whether it be from e-commerce or the point of sale. We want the information that flows through the business system to be the same. And so some of the other ways that we're able to help that is the automatic cash application. So as you transact throughout the course of the day, again, through any of those sales channels, the transactions are going to be accumulated in a payment settlement batch. And then so at the end of the very end of the day, we're going to close and submit that batch to the payment processor. The idea here is we've got these automations in place so that you as a user don't have to remember to do anything. So automatically, based on the cutoff time that you specify, the batch gets closed and submitted to the processor. And the beauty of that is behind the scenes also what we do is we actually do the automatic cash application. We actually create the cash receipt journal. So leveraging the native functionality inside Business Central or inside of NAV, we create the cash receipt journals for you, and then we can optionally post them for you as well. And the recommendation there is get comfortable with it, get used to how it actually processes, how the entries show up on your bank account and all that. And once you feel comfortable with that, go ahead and post it. Have it posted automatically. So again, it doesn't matter where you are, where you're working from, whether it be your office, your living room, or the beach. The business information is updated in real time so that you have accurate financials, and then you have money in the bank, which is probably the most important of the two. Take a quick pause there to see if there's any questions related to anything that I've gone over. Otherwise, I think the next slide says, let's just go ahead and see it in action. I'll give you some examples here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and switch over and let me know if you are having a problem seeing my screen. I did change applications. What we're looking at here is Business Central. So I'm using the Microsoft hosted version of Dynamics Business Central. This is the SaaS version, or our apps are available on AppSource. So I don't want to spend too much time going over all of the functionality, all the things that we've added inside of Business Central, but I will just point out a couple of things quickly here. The payment activities, the ChargeLogic payment activities section here. This is kind of your one-stop shop to see all the credit card, all of the EFT-related functionality. You can see things that are unsubmitted transactions, things that are sitting in the batch, things that are expired, and then we also have the ability to submit batches from here and pull down payments from our click to pay and our payment portal service here. I'm going to do one thing real quick, and I'm going to jump over to a different company for you so I can show you a little bit better of an example here. I think in this one I might actually even have some numbers there for you so it doesn't all look like zeros, which is good. But what we're going to do is we're going to go through an example here. So I see unsubmitted transaction, expired authorizations, and right now I have no unsubmitted batches. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and look at a customer card. And for those of you that are already familiar with the product and understand the idea here behind a customer, obviously this is the repository for all that master data for that customer. And so some of the things that we've added is the ability to store tokenized credit cards against the customer record, and that's going to again be hugely important in today's day and age when we have risks associated with doing credit card processing. It seems like you can't go a few days without hearing about some massive breach. And because people are taking their business, electronically, they're going to the digital world. This is going to be even more important. So what we're storing here is, you can see we have a masked account number, and that's actually a token. That token is coming back from the payment processor. So nowhere in the business system do we actually have the unencrypted card number or even an encrypted version of it. We have a token that only the processor can understand and really do anything with that token. So that's going to be hugely important. So again, some of the things behind the scenes that we've done is we're leveraging the native functionality inside of Business Central and inside of NAV, so that when you do an order for a customer and that customer has a payment method specified, or this customer normally pays with a specific way, we don't have to, as users, don't have to know exactly which card they pay with or how they pay, whether it be credit card, ACH, cash, or on account. So what I'm doing is I'm just quickly going to go ahead and sell an Athens desk. And you can see over here, we have a total amount of $1,000.80. Now I've chosen this customer is set up with a payment method code for credit card. And you can see that because this customer had a card that was marked as the default, it's automatically brought in the customer's card number for me. So I don't, as the user, don't have to know how this customer pays. I don't have to know which card number they want to use. If the customer for this particular case said they didn't want to pay by credit card, they wanted to pay by ACH, you'll notice that by simply changing the payment method code, we have some different fields showing. So now we have a routing number and account number specified, because the information when we're doing an ACH transaction is going to be specific to what you would see on the bottom of a check. We don't need the account type. We don't need an expiration month or expiration year, because it just doesn't apply for a ACH transaction. And so we can either enter an account number if we don't already have one stored, or as I'm showing you here in the lookup, you'd be able to look up to the list of existing checking accounts or bank accounts that this customer has established and choose one from the list. When I set it back to credit card, again, because I have a default card, it knows that this is the card the customer always pays with. You could either type in a brand new card number if the default card wasn't specified, or you could do the lookup and see all the cards that are assigned to either the customer record or the contact record. Now, again, Business Central, this is a perfect example. I'm in my home office and I'm about to do a sales order, taking a payment from this customer. Doesn't matter where I am or who I'm next to. I'm able to transact and process because everything we're doing is embedded. It's included in the Business Central and it's part of the regular sales workflow. So I'm going to go ahead and submit an authorization for this order. And what I'm doing is I'm going out to the payment processor in real time. I'm checking that the card is good, the customer has sufficient funds. And you can see here, I've successfully gotten an authorization against the order for the amount of that order. So I can see I have an approved credit card authorization. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do what I normally do as part of the workflow for sales, whether I'm building something, I'm buying something, I'm manufacturing something. That doesn't really come into play from a ChargeLogic perspective until we're ready to actually capture the payment. So we're converting that authorization into actual funds that show up in our bank account. That's going to happen one of two ways, either automatically or when you actually go ahead and post the invoice here, you'll notice it's going to go through the native posting process. And then really quickly on screen, you'll see the credit card settlement window. So what we've done is we've taken that authorization, we've converted it into a settlement. And basically what that means is it's now sitting in a batch on our side so that we can submit this to the payment processor at the end of the day. So if I you can see here on the payment totals fact box that we now have, rather than an authorization, we have a settlement. If I go kind of full circle and I go back to my roll center here, my home screen, you'll now see that we have an unsubmitted batch with the single transaction that I just processed for that order amount. And again, whether I'm doing the transaction from back office like you just saw, and I did it from a sales order, but the same functionality exists at the customer level, it exists at the sales invoice, it exists at the posted sales invoice, and even the cash receipt journal, we can take payments from a variety of different places. So that's kind of what we refer to when we talk about mail order telephone orders. That's really what we mean is really it's transactions that are occurring in the back office. So it's transactions that we either have the card number present, we have it available, and we want to bill the customer now, or if it's an after the fact type transaction, the customer's calling to make a payment, we can do the very same thing in that regard. The next thing that I'd like to show is, again, I'm going to do another order for the same customer here. I'm going to sell another Athens desk, but rather than taking the payment inside of Business Central, we've seen customers that either don't want to take the risk of having the card information typed in manually or recorded over the phone. Rather than do the transaction inside of Nav, inside of Business Central, you've noticed that I've removed my payment method code. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and actually send this customer an email. And on that email, there's going to be that link showing so that they can either pay the specific invoice. So I'm going to send them to ChargeLogic's hosted payment page, and they would enter in their card information and make the payment. Or if you have it enabled, the ChargeLogic payment portal, the customer invoice presentment portal, if you will, where they will see all of their open invoices and make the payment. And again, basically what's happening here is we're either billing this on account, so we're going to go ahead and post the invoice after we've gone through the order fulfillment process, or if you have a unique business case and you want to actually get the authorization before posting, we have functions that are available and in place to do that. When I actually go and ship this, you'll notice a little different message here. It's going to say transmitting invoice. And what that's doing is it's going out to our Connect service. The invoice information is going up to the cloud, if you will. We're also creating an invoice, creating an email and sending that on behalf of you to the end, to the customer. So you notice I just jumped over to this posted invoice, and you can see right now I don't have any payment information. I have no authorization and I have no settlements. If I real quick open up my email, and I will just look at existing emails that I already have in the interest of time, you can see this is kind of what we're talking about here. So this is an email that we would send on behalf of you. So the invoice number, and this would come from your name. But at the bottom here, we see the details. With your logo would show here, your colors would show here, basically saying, hey, understand that we've sold you something and we've billed you on account. This is one easy way for you to pay us. And what we're talking about here is this pay invoice button. When I click on that, it's going to launch our hosted payment page. And again, this is going to be a little bit more branded to you. It's going to have your logo up at the top. It's going to have your information in the upper left. But again, me as the card holder, me as the person who purchased this Athens desk is going to review the information on the invoice. And assuming I have no question, I'm going to go ahead and make a payment. And because the merchant, because my fictitious company here is set up to take payment by either credit card or ACH, I can choose to toggle how I want to make that payment. So if I'm going to choose the option for check, what I'm going to need to do is put the information on the bank account. I'll have to choose whether it's a checking or savings account, and I'll simply enter in the routing number or routing number and account information. If I'm doing a credit card payment, then obviously I need a little bit different information. I want the name of the card, the billing address, so that we can bump that up against our fraud protection rules as far as address verification goes, and then choose the type of card and enter in the card information as well. So this is a great and easy way of doing this as a one-off basis. If customers are either they're not repeat customers or you have an invoice that you want to get paid now. The other option, again, and I've alluded to this previously, and I'll actually go to the example that we're looking at. This is actually the invoice that I did, is the ability to click the view all invoices. And then this will redirect the customer into the payment portal. So I'm going to log in again. I'll log in as the card holder. So this is me, and I'm going to make a payment because I'm Trade Research here. I'm going to be making a payment to the merchant's account. So this is going to look and feel as though it's coming from your page. It's going to have your colors. It's going to have your company in here, and it's also going to have your logo. Just logging in here again. The same information will be available in the portal itself, but your logo, your colors, and I've used this blue and orange, which are the ChargeLogic colors, to kind of give you that visual indication of feeling comfortable being on your merchant's page. And you can see here the example of the order that we just processed. This is the order number. This is the invoice number, and I can actually click on the invoice and see the actual details. So kind of like we saw on the hosted payment page, that click to pay, we actually see what was purchased. We see the billing information, the shipping information, and then we see the actual Athens desk here. So we can make the payment on the individual invoice if this is the individual invoice that I'm paying, or if I go back to the list, we can see all of the invoices that have been sent up. I can either make a full payment by simply clicking on the invoice, the check mark here, or if I only want to make a partial payment, I can simply update that amount, which allows me to take a partial payment on the invoice. And that's another huge thing that we've been noticing an uptick in, is people not able to or not wanting to pay off invoices in full. The payment portal gives them the flexibility of doing that. So it's going to take that payment, it's going to bring it back into Nav, into Business Central. It's going to apply that payment to the invoice, but it's obviously not going to close it out because we still have an open receivable of roughly $500. For all intents and purposes, I'm just going to go ahead and pay off the full invoice. So I've selected the invoice. It lists my payment amount, and I'll go ahead and say pay. Again, me as the end user here, deciding how I want to pay, whether it's the saved cards that I already have in the system, or I can create a new card if I've never done that before. Or if I want to pay by ACH, I'd simply choose the option for bank account. And again, entering very similar information that we saw on the actual click to pay page. When I make this payment, I'll simply say submit. What's going to happen, there's going to be a few things. One, I'm going to get an on-screen confirmation telling me that the payment was made. I will get, let's see, go ahead. I will get an email letting me know, me as the cardholder, that a payment was made with my account. And you as the merchant get an email also letting you know that a customer made a payment. So here's that, and I must have clicked the wrong button here. It says, thank you for your payment. A copy of the receipt was emailed to me. Again, you're going to get a copy of that email as well, letting you know that a payment was made. And then the last thing we do, I'll go ahead and just log out here, is we need to pull that payment back into Business Central. So depending upon the way in which you do business, how big your receivables department is, and how many people are processing, and what your order volume is, we have an action that you can run manually to go ahead and pull those payments in. That can be automated using standard functionality to run with the job queue. So you can run that every hour, you can run it once a day, you can run it every 5 minutes if you want. But the important thing to know is once that process is run, we'll go ahead and look at our posted sales invoices and posted sales invoices. And once we do that, we'll be able to see, I'll go ahead and search for the number that I conveniently copied earlier. When I pull that in, you'll see, just like in the first example from a sales order, when I looked at that posted invoice, that information is now sitting on the posted invoice. So the payment that was done outside the business system, and that the cardholder really initiated on their own, they were the ones that entered in the card information, they clicked submit, and all that information flows back into Business Central in the very same way. And if I were to go back and show you my home screen again, looking at the unsubmitted batch, here we now have 2 transactions with the batch being the total amount of the day. Now, the process here, again, that cash application is going to be hugely important, especially today. Everyone has tightened purse strings. This will happen automatically. If I don't do anything else tonight at 8 o'clock, this batch is going to get closed and submitted. I'll do that manually just so we can kind of see how that would work. I'll just close it and submit it. So what's happening is we're sending that information to the payment processor. That's going to sit in the batch on their side until the wee hours of the morning tonight when they go ahead and close their batch, and they're going to submit that to the card issuing banks, and that's how you're going to ultimately end up getting funded. But what we do when we close the batch is we also queue up these cash receipt journal entries. So I could see I had 1 entry in here before, this $12.50 that I did manually, but you can see the 2 entries that I just created, this $1,000.80 for these 2 invoices, has automatically come into the cash receipt journal for me. I've automatically created that record. So as an AR department, I have to do no reconciliation as far as which payments get applied to which invoices, whether it's done inside the back office or done from Click to Pay or the portal. You can see the application has been done for me automatically. And then we simply native processing here. We do our cash receipt journal, we post it, and if we were to go back to the customer ledger entries for that customer, everything again is updated in real time. That money is showing up as though it's in the bank account on the appropriate dates. And then in the wee hours of the morning, again, when the funds actually transfer to your company's bank account, you'll see all that information there. So that's in a nutshell. Those are the two types of functionality, back office and the Click to Pay portal, that is something that we've always offered, and it's always been hugely popular. The next 2 things that I want to cover are again the point of sale and the e-commerce piece. So point of sale, again, as things start to ease up and we're able to go out in public and purchase more things face to face. I know I need to go out and buy some new shoes because it's been months, but I want to be able to go somewhere and make a payment. So being able to take those payments in real time is going to be important. So ChargeLogic offers a point of sale application, again, built on top of the native sales order functionality. So when I can do something like the select customer, I'm going out to the standard customer card to look for the existing customers. I can create customers, edit customers. I can also take payments from the point of sale for invoices that have already been issued, just they weren't paid. So if I am offering terms to my customers and they're coming into the store and buying something else and they want to make a payment at the same time, we can support that totally as well. I'll just go ahead and select a customer here. Again, the idea here is whether you're using this as a true point of sale application or you want a much lighter touch points for users for filling out sales orders where you don't have all the fast tabs and the fat boxes and the actions. We have a scan box here. So whether you're using a Bluetooth scanner or you want to use predictive text searching, you can simply click on or type in the item number and add these things to a sales order. And it's building a native sales order in the background with this document number. Whether I do it that way or there's lookups, you can use standard item lookups, and I can select a couple different items I want to bring onto my order here, and then bring that back into bringing that back into the point of sale order, and do just some very simple processing. When I'm done, I want to go ahead and take a payment. Again, this is leveraging the standard ChargeLogic functionality as far as payments goes, and I could do cash payments, credit card payments, which when using our EMV solution for pin pads, we'll actually light up that pin pad so the customer can insert their chip card, and all that's going to happen in real time. Or if I'm letting them pay on account, I'm just going to add this to their existing ledger. I could do that from here as well. And this integrates with hardware, so I can do, again, pin pads, receipt printers, barcode scanners, cashers, so on and so forth. But we've really tried to make this a simplified order entry so that your users don't have to know too much about a retail environment experience, but also don't have to see all the clutter that you might find on a sales order. I'll go ahead and quit that and go back to my home screen. The last piece that, as again, I've mentioned several times at this point, at least, ChargeLogic Payments is an omni-channel provider. So we've done back office, we've done the Moto, we've done the click to pay in the portal, we've seen the point of sale. That last piece is, again, the e-commerce piece. And again, today, especially more than ever, it's incredibly important to have an online presence. And along with that, people want to be able to buy your things on your website. So integrating with a solution that already integrates with Nav or Business Central is obviously the easiest and fastest way to get that up and running. If not, though, using a homegrown system is just fine as well. We offer a variety of different capabilities. We have basically two things, one called hosted orders, the other called hosted payments. So if you are interested in getting order information from your website pulled into Nav, into Business Central, we can do that for you. Basically, the information will sit into this holding table where you as the user would be able to review it, decide whether or not you want to actually process that as a sales order. And then the authorization that was done online on your site, which used us as the payment gateway here, will also get created on that sales order. And so that's basically rudimentary functionality there to get you to a point where you can take orders online. The really our bread and butter has always been and will continue to always be the payment piece. So what I would say there is we leverage the robust functionality of some of the other providers in the marketplace, and they will come to us obviously for the payment piece. So they know how to handle that, the calls to our API, and they'll be the ones responsible for creating the orders inside the back office. And we will simply bring the payment piece full circle. So authorizations that are done online come into Business Central, into Nav when the order comes in, and then get settled just like you saw in the previous examples, whether it be auto settling on invoicing or settled manually if necessary. But that's kind of, again, we're in these very trying times, and we don't want the holdup to be, and you shouldn't want the holdup to be, how are you getting paid? ChargeLogic Payments provides you a variety of different methods for doing that, again, either proactively on the order during the invoicing process or after the fact via the click to pay, the payment portal, so on and so forth. At this point, I'll go ahead and open up the floor for any questions. Again, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have at this time.
All right, Adam, thank you. We do have a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
How does PCI compliance factor into processing payments with ChargeLogic?
That's a great question. So PCI compliance, obviously, and I think I alluded to this earlier, especially today, is going to be critically important. Nobody in their right mind wants to go through a PCI audit, but in actuality, everyone does. So ChargeLogic has functionality and technology in place that is really designed to help you minimize your burden, your scope for PCI compliance. So as I mentioned in the beginning, we use processor level tokenization so that you're basically taking the central system much more out of scope for storing that secure cardholder data. We're not actually storing a card number. So if the system was breached, if someone got into your system, if you had a disgruntled employee who took this information, nothing bad could happen because there's no way to translate that from our side from the token that's stored to something that's usable. There's also, again, there's some other technology pieces here that come into play, whether they be secure hardware devices. We have some point-to-point encryption devices where you would get the card number over the phone and potentially type that into a device, but that information doesn't sit on your Nav or Business Central server. It's encrypted from the point of the device to the actual processor, and then only a token gets returned into the system. So we as a PCI validated software, we take those concerns with the utmost concern and respect. And we have done our due diligence and regularly maintain and go through the necessary auditing to maintain that our solution remains validated and shows up on the list, the PCI Council's list of supported softwares. So that's a great question.
Okay, thank you. And the next one is, we want to make our customers happy and make them the priority. How does automation positively impact our customers?
So that's a very good question. I think the correct answer there is, in today's day and age, everyone kind of wants things now. So having to wait for someone to get back to me for what do I owe on this invoice or how many invoices do I have open is probably the best way. So again, I guess the spin on that is by offering something like the payment portal, customers can kind of self-help and get the answers to the questions they have right then and there. And then obviously being able to back that up with, answering questions over the phone of yeah, you have these open invoices. Would you like to make that payment now while I have you on the phone, or do you want to go log in and pay that on your own time? Those kinds of things, are hugely critical. Also, I think, from a perspective of the customer knowing that you're using ChargeLogic payments and being, PCI compliant when you're asking them for the card information, just basically giving them the peace of mind that, when the order is set up for a credit card and you've given them the card information, that it's securely stored, and you don't have to get the card number from them again. It's all maintained, so I'm not wasting your time to go back and get that card number every single time you want to place an order. So it's probably a little bit of both, as far as a customer service experience goes.
Okay, thank you. I believe those are the only questions that we have had for you today.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you all. I hope, this was at least a little bit informative about what ChargeLogic A offers, but B, also how in today's day and age, being able to get your name and your product and services out to the masses as quickly as and easily as possible, and able to accept those payments through a variety of different channels, is going to help your business thrive, especially again in these very difficult times we're all facing.
All right, well, thank you, Adam, for presenting today. And to everyone on our webinar, or if you're watching on demand, we thank you for joining us. And just to let you know, we do have more webinars coming soon. Tomorrow morning, we have Brian McMurray from XperLogic, and he will be presenting on improve your quoting speed and accuracy with XperLogic CPQ. And next Tuesday, we have Taylor Labs from Innovia Consulting, and he's going to be presenting on get more out of your FS Logic virtual profile and O365 containers. So check out our upcoming events, and that's innovia.com/events. And also to let you know, we have a podcast that is going on. If you have not heard of it already, it's called the Innovia Conversation. And we just want to encourage you to listen to our selection that Steve Waltz and Jeff Pergolski have provided to us. And you can find out about all the different podcast platforms to listen to on our podcast page. And that's innovia.com/podcast. Excuse me. So check out the selection and subscribe so you can get notified when those new episodes air. And Innovia is also proud to be a premier sponsor of a couple of virtual conferences coming up. And you can check out our website for more information, and that's innovia.com/conferences. All right, so you can check out our conference page, and that's innovia.com/conferences for more details and to save on your Community Summit registration. All right, everyone, we thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you soon on another Innovia webinar. Have a great day, everyone.